Since its very inception, the Cayman has, in many people's eyes, been artificially hobbled to allow the 911 to remain Porsche's fastest and most exciting driver's car. Well, this is the Cayman Unleashed, the Cayman GT4. A product of the same Porsche Motorsport division that has given us various GT3s and GT2s, and who understand what makes an inspirational sports car better than pretty much anyone else. Here we get the full lowdown on the new GT4 from Andreas Preuninger, head of GT cars at Porsche Motorsport, massive enthusiast and all-round good egg. Prepare to want one, badly. So this is our first view of a massively anticipated car.
Yes.
Can you just give us a brief outline what the engine is, the power, the weight, etc. of this GT4?
Well, it's a total new approach on the Cayman platform. I mean, it's the first GT car on the Cayman platform. It's a youngster and our entry-level GT car now, but it's a youngster to be taken seriously, I'm thinking. We're very proud and very excited about the product because this is something Cayman enthusiasts are waiting since day one,
Yeah.
as I believe. And this time we made the whole development in GT development, the department in motorsport, so it's a pure motorsports car. So all the same people that made the GT3 were on that project as well. And it's a little brother of the GT3. It inherited a lot of good stuff, a lot of good sporting equipment from the GT3, and that shows. I mean, it's not just the obvious things like the aggressive bodywork. There's so much underneath that's purely GT3 or newly developed especially for this sole purpose to be a GT car and to feel like a GT car. So we're very excited, and I think I'm really curious how this new rocket will be received by the markets, and because we know our GT customers quite well, this opens a new clientele to us, I think, and yeah, we're very excited about that.
Okay, and the technical spec of the car, it's got the 3.8 litre engine, is that right?
It's a 3.8 litre engine that's known from the Carrera S, so it's, I would call it like in a positive way, old school hot rodding, put a bigger engine in that thing. And it didn't fit first, so we had to like do a lot of things to make everything happen. And it's got a different crankcase. It's machined on some parts and different intake, and features a beefed up gearbox from the Cayman GTS, which is quite good. Yep. And we have a torque peak limiter inside that thing, and a little bit different clutch system, different single mass or dual mass flywheel, which is almost as light as a single mass flywheel. So. And dynamic engine mounts. We created a whole new package, and it works sensational in that relatively small car.
Okay, and the engine tune is 385 horsepower or
It's
PS?
385, but it's a GT horsepower, so it's at least 385 at like elevation of 10,000 feet and 40 degrees Celsius. No, I'm kidding you. You know, we're always conservative about our horsepower figure. It's 385-ish, I would say, and it feels more. And yeah, and it's got 420 Newton meters of torque combined to a manual gearbox, which makes it a very direct and explosive experience in the car, in combination with that mid-engine handling, stick-like glue handling capabilities. And this is really what makes you smile all the time when you drive that car. I mean, we're just coming back from the last trial, from the last testing in southern Italy, and it was such a blast. I cannot remember having so much fun in a car since a long time than we had down in Italy with that car on these small winding roads. And yeah, I'm envy everybody who's been able to get one, and I'm happy to have enough and several of them in our fleet to be able to use them. It's really a good, clean, fun car. And you talked about it being a lot of GT3 hardware. We'll get onto the chassis in a moment. Yes, it is.
The gearbox, this is manual only, which I would like to say thank you very much for that. But what was the decision taken behind that firstly?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we're a small team within GT Motorsport street car development. At the same time, we had other projects going, which I cannot tell you more about it at the moment, but you might have a clue. And so it was a parallel project which gave us a lot of synergy, actually, so we could do that. The decision behind it was we can't do too many variants of a car, because if you make two kind of gearboxes, you need two different setups and a tuning, two different systems of stabilization systems, so there's a lot more work to do. So we started out with a manual transmission because there was a call for that from all over the world. So we felt that sting since the 990G, 991 GT3 introduction. There's a lot of clientele out there, a lot of customers that really want to shift, want to get involved. They don't care too much about the last tenth that you lose maybe in shifting manually. It's about emotion, it's about being involved, it's about a car that talks to you. And this is what we combined with a very, very competent track-capable car, because it shares so much suspension components and philosophy from the GT3. If you look at the front axle, it's almost completely GT3 hardware, tuned to the specs of the GT4. The brakes, just look at these brakes. They're 4/10 PCCBs. I mean, I would say it's gently over-engineered, but delightfully oversized in that regard.
And as standard, it comes with GT3 steel brakes, and then the PCCB
it comes with 380 millimeter steel brakes all around, which is the same as on the GT3. And the wishbones are forged aluminum. They're split wishbones that you can put shims in to alter the camber. And we've got the aluminum upside down sport dampers from the GT3. In the front axle, we have 45 Newton meter springs, lightweight springs. In the back, they're 80. A little bit less than in the GT3 because it's a mid-engine car, and so all the hardware to be found here, including the stabilizer, which is adjustable in 3 settings, and the uprights are with a double clamping. We have got aluminum dampers. The top mount is ball bearing, and the connection between the wishbone and the upright as well as a ball bearing. So that's all known from the GT3 and GT2 cars, and that's all included in that car. The rear axle is totally new because we couldn't use that from the GT3. Totally different geometrical situation. But even there, we've got the wishbone that is completely new developed. The upright is completely new developed. There's a sport damper as well, a height adjustable damper in the back. So and a helper spring with a very, very light spring. So we put a lot of thought and development in the suspension of the car. We made the wheels 5-lug wheels. So the hubs are, to be honest, inherited from the Turbo, which was a grateful donator, and put that together with the GT3 brakes, and the package is outstanding because it's a very light car. And the handling characteristics of a mid-engine car, I don't have to tell you about them, and that comes together in a beautiful balanced package here. And if you look at the aero, I mean, we started, our engineering target was to make it a zero lift car, because the normal Cayman variants, they have a little bit of lift at top speed, but we ended up having as much downforce as a GT3 has. So at top speed, we have about 100 kilo on the car. That's quite substantial, and you feel it. And it's an aggressive body style. I think form follows function always counts for us, but I always have the definitely wish it has to be beautiful. You have to want to drive it. It has to create this want factor. And I think we succeeded in that. And we're very happy with the results. Yeah, I bet. And the dampers are still PASM? So the dampers are PASM, but a different setting that you that you find in the standard car. It's as I told you before, it's a GT3 damper, and it's a GT3 PASM system. So the tuning is different. The steering as well is hardware from the GT3, but with a different software that is adjusted to the needs of a mid-engine car that has other dynamic boundary conditions. So you think the steering feels very different to a normal Cayman? I like the normal Cayman. I like the GTS, and the GTS is a very good car, very competent car, but we are in all regards a big step ahead on the GTS, which is logical, which was the plan, and it feels GT-ish. It feels really like a GT car, and that was very important to us. Okay. The gearbox, I just very quickly, the gearing on the Cayman is long. Have you been able to shorten it at all? Is that possible? The Cayman GTS has the same reduction than this car, but it has 400 cc less. So it's just perfect with that car, don't worry. And the rev range is up to 7,800. Wow. If you think at it closely, if you rewind the time, back in 1999, we had the 996 GT3. It had 380 horsepower. It weighed about similar as that one. It revved to 7.8, so it's pretty much comparable. And the ratios, we looked at them very, very closely, but we couldn't have, there would have been no use making them shorter. So because we have more torque throughout the rev range and more power, and I personally don't think the GTS is too long, to be honest. At least maybe I have less miles on the car as you have, I don't know. But I think it befits very much that engine drivetrain combination as well.
Okay, the weight of this car is roughly the same as a GTS, but it's obviously got some.
1340, yeah, but you have to think all the suspension parts are heavier because, and we have these bigger brakes because the GTS's weight is calculated with the standard brakes, which are a lot smaller than on a GT car because we need the big brakes. And there's lots of stuff where we had to reinforce the body in white too to put in the roll cage because the Club Sport version will be available too. Okay. And we had to weld in some sheet metal on different other places and on the top mounts. So there's a lot more technology in that car that's from the race circuit. So, and we have a bigger engine as well. Of course, yeah. So, but we're quite happy that we're at the same weight level now as a GTS, but having a lot. The different performance figures. So how did you find the weight savings? Well, the weight savings are throughout all the cars. So I mean, the weight savings are in the body in white. Some sheets we don't need. We have the bucket seats and we have some lightweight parts like the spoiler is made of carbon fiber, and it's more like adding up the gram throughout all the car. The rims are very light. It's this GT3 style rims. If you look at them closer, you can definitely see the familiarity. And this design doesn't come just because we like the design. It's really a structural, very light wheel, and it's a forged wheel. So we found it on various parts of the car. But for example, if you look at the front of the car, we have a middle cooler that's directly derived from the GT3, and so that adds another couple of kilos of weight. So it's very difficult to compare these two cars weight-wise. Yeah. Okay, you mentioned the Club Sport package. That will consist of a roll cage, bucket seats, etc. What's the list? The roll cage package has been there forever. And it's still the same. It's a back part of the roll cage already installed in the car when you get it. It's with the attachment points to make it to a full cage, which is not street legal anymore. But which you can opt for at Porsche Motorsport. It has the provisions for installing a kill switch, and it has the 6-point harness. This sounds like a silly question, but what's taken so long for Porsche Motorsport to do a Cayman? We've had the Cayman for a long time. Why now? I'm the wrong person to answer that question, but it's simple. I just told you before, we're a small team in motorsport. We can't do so many. We only can do so many projects at the same time. There was always the need and the urge to do it. I always said in interviews, I like mid-engine cars because I was hoping that someday we could lay our hands on a Cayman too. Okay. Politically speaking, there's been this sense that the Cayman has always been slightly restricted to keep it below the 911 in some respect. Did you have any restrictions from Porsche to not outperform a Carrera S around the Nürburgring or something along those lines? I'm not sure if we're not outperforming the Carrera S already. So we couldn't really test it because it's in the last 6 months it's been winter. But I think it's not the case. I mean, I'm pretty positive. I'm sure that there will be no customer really thinking of whether to buy a Carrera or a GT4. The purpose of the cars is too different. So I think it was more a matter of the capacity in motorsports not to do it before that. And all the boards are totally with me in that regard. So there is no internal regie, I would say. In Formula One, when driver 2 can't overtake driver what's it called? No team rules. No, there are no team rules in that. Okay, so you have free reign. This is not a competition product to the GT3. The GT3 is a lot of technology involved right now because in the GT3 we are under pressure because the markets and all the competitors, they want to beat us on the track, and we have to invest in system, we have to make it faster. So it gets a little bit higher up the price range as well, and that opens room for a new entry-level model that's at the same time the top model of the 981 range, so I don't want to consider this empty. It's a distinct identity, and it's really a serious track car as well, and so it was just about the right time now, I think. Yeah, and the engine is the Carrera S engine or related to, so it's not a dry sump engine. But it's not a dry sump, and we call it integrated dry sump, but it's not the same dry sump that we use on the GT3. That's correct. But extended track use is fine with it. No issues with absolutely. We've got sport tires in the car, standard, as we have in the GT3, and you can believe we did a lot of testing on all the racetracks of the world, and especially in Europe, and it's perfectly fine.
And it's got the Cup 2 tyres.
It's got the Cup 2 tyres. The front tyre is the same as in the GT3, and the rear tyre is developed completely from scratch. It's new. It was definitely made custom tailored to that car.
And in terms of the rear axle, what limited slip differential arrangement is there? Is it an E-diff or a
We have a
torque
diff.
vectoring?
We have a mechanical diff
Okay.
that's combined to the gearbox, which has about 27 torque and peak and overrun, which works pretty well in that car. It's really noticeable. There's a noticeable difference.
I know it's not a car about shaving tenths, etc., but people love to know about Nürburgring lap times. So
we're sure that we are
car?
way below 745. I think we're 740 with that car, something in that region. I'm curious myself because we have to wait till April or May when the Nürburgring opens up again. But we have calculations, and we have Nardo, where we have track, and you have always a certain relation between the times we achieve there and the Nürburgring. So we should end up at 740 and maybe even a little tad below that.
Wow.
Which is quite impressive.
Really impressive, yeah.
It is.
And on a tight twisty track, it must be very close to GT3,
It's very responsive. It's very responsive. You feel the mid-engine. The mid-engine concept has its advantages. That's for sure. And it's a very seat of the pants feeling car. And like I told you before, stickier than glue handling. Very, very responsive. You feel with every nerve what the car is doing in the next split second, which is very important. If you're a good driver and you notice that, you can balance right on the edge of the car's envelope. And this is what this car makes so special. This is really a car that makes you smile all the time.
What about build numbers? Is it very restricted? What's it going to be?
It's not a limited car in a way that we put a sign in it 1 out of 10. But it's going to be limited in the production numbers we can take out per day. And the production time will be limited as well. So I don't want to make everybody hurry to the dealers right now, but we will not build like 5 or 6 or 10,000 of this car. That's not possible from the production capacity wise.
And it's manual gearbox. It's a car not about lap times. You say, I know it's going to be quick.
It is about lap times in its class, and we're not very worried that there's some competitor being able to beat that, no matter what technology he throws at us. But I think like when we started back in '99 with the 996 GT3, we started with the first model and waited how the market will react to that. I'm not saying that we cannot offer a version with PDK maybe in the near future, or make other variants of that idea. But it has to prove out first that this car is really received from the market, which I think it will. And it was still very much constructed to be very, very competent on the track. Don't get me wrong, it's not a purely sports driver car, motoring fun car. It's the best of both worlds. It's having ultimate fun on the road, and it's being at the same time very competent on the track, and with the capability to use it for track days every weekend. I mean, this is what it's about. It's a GT car. So use it on the track that thing.
Okay.
And I think this is the main new customer group that will come. Maybe the ones that are looking for used GT3s. Maybe they'd rather have a new GT4 instead. Maybe some Cayman drivers, they want to start a little bit with this track driving, and that's the perfect instrument, the perfect tool for that, and that's what it's meant for.
And how long can we keep seeing cars like this with normally aspirated engines? It seems like we hear a lot about 911s are all going to be turbocharged.
Don't you worry.
We're okay for a little while.
More I can tell you, for a longer while.
Good, okay, brilliant.
I think it's very important to have an atmospherical engine in GT cars, because the linearity, the aggressiveness, the sound, that's all something that has become rare these days. And I think we have to produce cars for the heart and the stomach as well. And the numbers are not so huge that they influence a lot the overall CO2, the overall CO2. But the CO2 on this car, it's quite fine. It's 230, something like that. So it's not too much. And I think we owe the customers, as long as the customers, they want atmospherical cars, I think we'll find a way to produce them.
Sounds good
At
to
least
me.
that is my aim.
That sounds really good to me. Okay.
I don't want to bash any turbos here. Turbo is a great engine, great engine. We had turbos on the GT2, still love that engine. And I'm not saying that we won't do something like that in the future again, but
we need a
the
GT2
offering
RS again.
will still, in the next couple of years, consist of at least both versions.
So now you know pretty much all you need to about the Cayman GT4. 3.8 litres, at least 385 horsepower, and a back to basics philosophy symbolised most evocatively by that 6-speed manual gearbox. We'll be driving the GT4 very soon, just as soon as we finish the fist fight to see who goes on the launch.